What is up, guys? Got a request to do the Galaxy S10e versus the G8. This one is starting at $353. Links will be down below. And the LG G8 is starting at $260. These are the cheapest that you can get both of these phones. So very interesting. So the S10e is more expensive. So let's see if it's worth picking up over the G8 here. Now let's start off with the hardware. As you can see, the S10e is definitely a smaller phone, just a little bit more compact than the G8. On both these phones, you have a dual camera setup, fingerprint scanner. You actually have a completely flat design for the camera on the G8, which I love. It's very unique, and flash on both. You also have glass and metal on the frames on both these guys, so very premium feeling phones here. So on the side we have the fingerprint scanner on the S10e, which acts as the power button as well, and then on the left side we have the volume rockers on both, and then we actually have the Bixby button or the Google Assistant button on the G8. Down below we have USB Type-C on both, stereo speakers on the S10e. Both have a headphone jack and USB Type-C. Now when it comes to the displays, you're getting very good displays on both phones. Starting with the G8, you have a 6.1 inch POLED display, 1440p, 564 for the PPI. It's an always on display as well. You also have Android 10, the Snapdragon 855, Adreno 640, micro SD support, 128 gigs of storage, and 6 gigs of RAM. Now on the S10e, you have a more compact display at 5.8 inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's a 1080p display, so not as high as a resolution as the 1440p display on the G8, 438 for the PPI, and it's a very nice display as well. It's running Android 10, One UI 2.0. This is the Snapdragon 855 and the Adreno 640. You also have micro SD support, 128 gigs of storage, and also 6 gigs of RAM. So they're pretty much tied in specs when it comes to that, except for the display resolutions. You just have a higher resolution display. It's a little bit more sharper looking when you look closely on the G8 here, as opposed to the S10e. It's definitely a really good display, but it's just not as sharp. So as you can see with the displays here, as you can see, the Galaxy S10e is smaller, but not by a whole bunch, but you do have something to choose from, and that is the notch or the little punch hole right here. So they both are not super, annoyingly bad. I noticed with the S10e, if you flip it down here, it's nowhere near as annoying as it being up there. And the notch on the G8, it's a little bigger than the punch hole, so it is what it is. You really just have to choose. Do you want a 1440p display, or do you want the 1080p display with the punch hole? It really comes down to that. Now you should see a huge difference when it comes to speaker quality with the S10e. It's got stereo speakers, so let's go ahead and check that out. So you're just getting a louder and more fuller sound on the S10e. So 2 is going to be better than 1. And unfortunately, the G8 speaker is not as good as the LG G7s, which was very close even for a single firing speaker. So it is what it is, but definitely you're getting a better speaker on the S10e here. Now both these phones have the Snapdragon 855 and 6 gigs of RAM, so you're not really going to notice a huge difference in performance. As far as the UIs, it really comes down to whether you like LG skin or whether you like the One UI, and it really comes down to personal preference. I really like LG skin, and I also really like One UI. I could really go with both, no problem. One thing I really love about LG skin is that you have the Google Now assistant feed to the left, and on the left you have the Bixby, which I'm not a huge fan of. It can be useful, but it's just not as useful to me as Google Now, so that is one thing to consider, I guess. But let's go ahead and check out the speed. All applications have been cleared. Let's go ahead and launch Tempo Run. 3, 2, 1. And like I said, both Snapdragon 855, so you're not going to see a huge difference. You can see the S10e beat it there. But like I said, you're not gonna see an actual, real difference. Honestly, just to keep it real, cameras pretty much the same. So like I said, try settings 3, 2, 1. So, basically the same. As far as speed, that's something that's going to be pretty much tied. And as far as gaming, both these phones will be able to play pretty much any game on high. Call of Duty, PUBG, you name it, it's going to be able to max it out. No problem with that 855 chip. Alright, before we get to the cameras, both these phones have NFC and they're both IP68 dust and water resistant, which is excellent. So no issues there. So you do have those for mobile payment lovers. So let's talk about the cameras on the S10e. You have excellent cameras. One of my favorite go-to camera phone, 12 megapixel wide, 16 megapixel ultra wide, shoots in 4K video, 60 FPS. Front facing camera is 10 megapixels and that also shoots in 4K 30 FPS. And on the LG G8, we also have very good dual camera setup as well. So we have a 12 megapixel standard and a 16 megapixel ultra wide, shoots in 4K 30 or 60 FPS. You have a front facing camera, 8 megapixel wide, shoots in 1080p, so it doesn't shoot in 4K like the S10e for the front facing camera. Alright, let's compare some stills. So these were just point and shoots. So as you can see here, very good photo for both. Definitely a cleaner shot on the S10e, as we can see, was able to just get a little bit more detail. Samsung has some very good image processing software, but what you'll notice with LG is that they have some really good color science as well. So if you look at the picture of the Funko Pop, it's definitely more color accurate, looks just as good. Very nice, good detail on both. So both of these guys have really good cameras. Let's go ahead and look at another one, the iPhone, and you can see the G8 here just killed it in color accuracy. It just whited out on the S10e, as you can see. It just made it look like a really pale when it's actually a more yellow color. So like I said, color science is just excellent on the LG G8, but both have really good cameras. So just to wrap up the camera part, you really won't be disappointed. You have portrait mode, night mode, pretty much anything you can ask for. They both shoot in 4K except for the front of the G8. So for cameras, you can't go wrong with either, really. Let's talk about some additional features that you get. On the G8, you get the whole swiping gesture thing. As you can see, I put my palm over it. I can swipe through and play and pause music and do all that stuff. You also have the vein recognition on here. So, I can put my hand up here and it'll scan it and unlock the phone if you have your hands, for something like that or something on it. And on the S10e, you have a really cool feature called wireless power share. So basically I can pretty much charge anything like a watch or even another phone if I wanted to. So let's go ahead and see. As you can see, boom, I'm charging the G8 right now. So very cool for additional features on both. You just have to figure out which one is more useful for you. The battery life situation, you have a 3100 milliamp battery on the S10e, 15 watt fast charging, and you also have wireless charging at 15 watts and the 9 watt reverse wireless charging, which I just showed you. And on the G8, you have a pretty good battery size as well, a 3500 milliamp battery, so bigger battery, 21 watt fast charging, so definitely charges faster, and wireless charging at 9 watts. You're definitely getting better battery life on the G8. You should be able to get around 8 to 9 hours if you're a light user, and on the S10e, you're looking at about 7 hours and 30 minutes to 8 hours of screen on time, which is still very good for this phone. So battery life is very good on both. It's just the G8, from my experience, has slightly better battery life. So that's pretty much it for the comparison. What do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I will catch you guys in the next one.